Sabrina Carpenter didn't just drift into stardom, she fought her way into it and learned how to turn scandal into fuel. She's been called a nepo baby thanks to her famous aunt, accused of being an industry plant, slammed for a racist line in a movie role, and roasted for sexualizing her image after Disney. She's been dragged for Lolita-inspired photos, condemned for filming a sexy music video inside a church, and now she's defending an album cover that some parents are calling too much. And yet, through all of that, her songs keep charting higher, her tours keep selling out, and her headlines keep multiplying. Tonight, we're diving into every controversy, every criticism, and every clapback. Stick around until the very end because the last minute reveals the one tactic Sabrina keeps pulling behind the scenes. The move that transforms backlash into momentum and explains why she might just be built to last. Sabrina's story begins not on stage, but in her family tree. Her aunt is Nancy Cartwright, the legendary voice behind Bart Simpson and dozens of other animated characters. Nancy isn't just a Hollywood insider, she's worth an estimated $60 million, and has long been linked to Scientology, a connection that only fuels speculation about Sabrina's rise. From the moment fans discovered this relationship, the nepo baby label stuck. Was Sabrina's career pre-written because of who she knew? Critics point out that as a child she was already in rooms with Hollywood giants like Robin Williams, and her aunt publicly praised her talent on social media, even calling her smart and sexy at just 17. Whether or not it gave her unfair advantage, the narrative of privilege followed Sabrina before she had her first hit. And in today's culture, the perception of access can weigh as heavily as talent itself. But even with connections, Sabrina still had to break free of the Disney box, a blessing and a curse for every young star. Like many pop hopefuls, Sabrina's launchpad was Disney Channel. For a kid, it was a dream come true. But the Disney label comes with baggage. It paints you as safe, family-friendly, and often juvenile. Sabrina has admitted she underestimated how much that shaped people's perceptions of her abilities. Even a decade later, articles still introduced her as Disney star Sabrina Carpenter, erasing her evolution. To escape that, she pushed hard into music. Labels saw potential, and that's when another criticism appeared, the dreaded industry plant tag. The argument was that Sabrina didn't rise organically. She was carefully placed, packaged, and marketed by executives who spent millions to make her happen. Some even argued that most successful pop stars are plants in some way, since labels function like banks. They fund projects, demand a return, and flood the market with promotion. In this light, Sabrina isn't unusual. She's playing the same game everyone else in pop does. The difference is she's leaned into the machine while keeping her own cheeky personality front and center. That personality would be tested live on stage in front of thousands when she made the boldest pivot of her career. When Sabrina opened for Taylor Swift on the Eras Tour, she inherited millions of younger fans who weren't necessarily prepared for what she was about to deliver. Her stage banter turned overtly sexual. During one set, she performed provocative positions while singing about teen pregnancy and even asked her audience if they'd ever tried this one. Viral clips spread fast. For many, it was funny and bold. For parents bringing their kids to see the girl from Disney, it was jarring. Concert screens even displayed a parental guidance warning before her set. What Sabrina was doing wasn't accidental, it was strategy. Every night, she added a cheeky line or risque ad-lib, making sure there was a new soundbite for TikTok. The formula worked. Outrage drew attention, attention drove streams, and streams solidified her chart presence. As she was no longer the good girl from Disney. She was a pop provocateur in control of her narrative. But while live shows built her new reputation, one old acting role kept resurfacing, and it wasn't flattering. Back in 2018, Sabrina appeared in The Hate U Give, a critically acclaimed film about race and privilege. Unfortunately for her, the character she played was overtly racist. In one infamous scene, she told a black classmate to pretend the basketball is a piece of fried chicken. chicken. Even though Sabrina was acting, the internet doesn't care about context. Clips detach from characters and spread like their personal confessions. Years later, fans still bring up the line whenever Sabrina trends. It's a reminder of how one script choice can shadow a career. For Sabrina, the only way forward has been to outcreate the backlash, stacking new hits, new performances, and new associations so the internet has fresher content to circulate. But the next backlash wasn't about a line in a script, it was about an entire aesthetic, one of the most dangerous references in pop culture. When Sabrina's short and sweet era leaned into Lolita-style aesthetics, the internet lit up with criticism. Inspired by Nabokov's controversial novel about a predatory relationship between an older man and a child, Lolita imagery has long been criticized as glamorizing abuse. Sabrina was 25 at the time, fully an adult, but the references in her photo shoots and stylized covers raised eyebrows. To some it was cheeky subversion, to others it was crossing a line for shock value. Whether intentional or not, the association sparked days of discourse, think pieces, and fan wars. But from a marketing perspective, it accomplished exactly what it needed to. Everyone was talking about Sabrina. Pop has always thrived on taboo. Madonna with crosses, Britney with snakes, Miley with foam fingers. Sabrina simply chose Lolita as her flashpoint. But controversy wouldn't just stay online. Soon it spilled into real life, costing someone their job inside a sacred institution. And for her single feather, Sabrina filmed a music video inside a Catholic church in New York. The imagery was playful, sexy, and unapologetic, but the fallout was explosive. The priest who approved the shoot was fired, accused of mismanagement and poor judgment. Religious leaders condemned the video, claiming they'd been misled. Sabrina, however, leaned into the backlash. When asked, she joked Jesus was a carpenter, flipping her last name into the punchline. To her fans, it was another example of her wit and refusal to apologize. But for critics, it confirmed the narrative. Sabrina was willing to scandalize sacred spaces for clicks. Either way, the incident showed her philosophy in action. Controversy isn't a crisis, it's marketing. But when the drama shifted from image to money, when lawsuits came into play, Sabrina didn't shrink. She sang louder. In 2017, two of Sabrina's former managers filed a lawsuit against her parents, and her then current manager, claiming they were owed revenue from her early album. The dispute could have been a career stain, the kind of legal fight stars try to bury. Sabrina turned it into art. She wrote Sue Me, a defiant anthem that reimagined the court battle as an empowerment story. I'm doing this on my own, like it or not, she sang. Fans rallied, critics admitted the move was bold, and the lawsuit eventually resolved in her favor. It was the perfect example of her playbook. Don't avoid controversy, metabolize it. When life throws her scandals, Sabrina writes them into lyrics. By the time the dust settles, she's already made the narrative profitable. That playbook would extend even to her stage banter, where cheeky one-liners became the centerpiece of her brand. Fast forward to 2025, Sabrina's new album, Man's Best Friend, has become her boldest statement yet. Released in August, it leans fully into sexual innuendo, playful wordplay, and provocative imagery. The cover, Sabrina on all fours with her hair pulled by a man, sparked immediate backlash. Some called it submissive, others labeled it slave roleplay. Sabrina pushed back in interviews, saying the image was playful, she was in control, and she used multiple men for the shoot until one got the right touch. For her, the cover matched the tone of the songs, cheeky, ironic, and layered. She admitted she doesn't create to anticipate reactions, she creates what feels authentic. She even clapped back at older critics. They all had sex, they had kids, why am I not allowed to sing about it? For Sabrina, Man's Best Friend is not scandal, it's honesty. But honesty isn't the only reason she's still trending. The secret sauce is her comedy, the viral one-liners that broadcasters can't even keep on air. Sabrina has mastered what many artists never figure out, the power of the last 5 seconds. Almost every performance ends with a cheeky, improvised line, sometimes risque, sometimes absurd, always quotable. At Coachella, she cracked a joke referencing Barry Keoghan's bathtub scene in Saltburn. At BBC's Live Lounge, she turned BBC into a sexual pun so outrageous, the network cut it from the upload. What looks like playful spontaneity is actually strategy. These moments create free marketing, headlines, tweets, TikToks, and memes. And because each one is new, fans keep tuning in, wondering what she'll say next. It's low effort, high reward, and it's become her trademark. And she's doing this while the wider pop culture landscape is chaotic. Other stars getting dragged, podcasts imploding, and influencers fighting festivals. That chaos actually helps her. While Sabrina defended man's best friend, the internet's T-cycle exploded with other drama. Alex Warren accused a Canadian festival of lying about his cancellation, saying he needed mental health time while they framed it as a better gig. Tana Mongeau sparred with Harry Jowsey over his ties to David Dobrik, standing firm for Jeff Witten. And Bobby Altoff reunited with Drake after a dramatic unfollow and a deleted viral podcast revealing how one text at a concert spiraled into months of speculation. Why does this matter for Sabrina? Because it shows the climate she's operating in. Today, audiences expect immediate clapbacks. They don't want silence. They want transparency, wit, and a little defiance. Sabrina delivered. In interviews right after the album dropped, she doubled down on her choices, explained her intentions, and reframed the backlash as proof of her control. In a week where artists were being done dirty, she came out looking confident, unapologetic, and clear. Final minute, and that brings us to the lever, the one tactic Sabrina keeps pulling, the move that turns every backlash into momentum. The truth is, Sabrina Carpenter isn't scandal-proof, she's scandal-smart. She doesn't wait for the internet to define the narrative, she defines it first. The nepo baby claim, she reframes it as watching and learning from her aunt. The Disney box, she makes the exit her mission. The racist movie line, she buries it under new music until it drowns. The church scandal, she laughs it off with a quip that doubles as marketing. The lawsuit, she spins it into sue me. The album cover, she insists she's in control and playful, not submissive. Again and again, she takes authorship of the story before it can be weaponized against her. That's the lever. Not shock, not apology, authorship. Every time she moves first. And in pop, moving first means you get to decide what the headlines say. That's why Sabrina Carpenter may not just be built by backlash, she may be built to last. Like, comment, and subscribe. It takes a second, but it tells YouTube you want more stories like this in your feed.